Hey guys, here's another bite-sized nugget. These are ideas that I have that don't warrant a full podcast, but still need to be said. Answering another question regarding the not just your hormone, it's not just the hormones episode. Somebody asked me what percentage of fat do I eat since I'm such a fat proponent. And so I thought this was a really good question. So we have to dive in really quickly to macros. So maybe you've heard this or seen this. Maybe you're very familiar with it, or maybe you've never heard of it. But the macronutrients are protein, carbohydrates, and fat. So those are your three basics. Everything else is a mineral or a micronutrient. And most meals are made up of those three components. How you divide those components are tracking your macros. So when you hear somebody, usually in the workout world, you will track your macros, or people say, I'm doing macros. And I find there's a whole lot of misconception about this. So basically, you take your daily expenditure, so a rough amount of like calories you should be eating. I don't live and die by calories. I think they're nonsense. They've never been proven in a human body. It's a measurement of energy expenditure that is like used by burning things in a lab. It's not, we don't know exactly how they work in people, and people with better metabolic health, more muscle, burn more calories. So I don't live and die by them, but I do, there's like a rough number, and I track largely to make sure I'm eating enough. And some people have real hangups about tracking their food because they've had disordered eating. It trips them. They start getting crazy. And none of this is meant to be like an exact science. I think anybody who is like measuring food to the exact gram, that gets crazy, especially grams because they're tiny. But I do think there are like rough numbers. So a rough number for a grown woman, an active mom, if you're a mom, you're active. Okay. Let's just get that out of the way. And it might be worth it for you to maybe, even just keep your phone on your person. That can track your steps. Like a rough idea of how many steps you get a day will let you know. Like I have a friend who thinks she's really out of shape and she gets 22,000 steps a day in just being a mom. So that's pretty decent. So I would say a grown woman needs at least 1,800 calories. Yeah. Toddlers need 1,200 calories. So I don't like when I see online women trying to eat 1,200 calories. 1,700 calories is, for most women, is a deficit. So you would lose weight if you stayed at 1,700 calories about. And if you work out, I can eat, my maintenance is somewhere around 2,500 calories. So just be aware of that. Like, but try to figure that out and get a rough number. And if you want it to be safe, I would say for most people, 2,000 calories is a good number to kind of gauge it on. But you have to put that into a food tracker if you want to know the percentages of what you're eating. So a food tracker, I use Carb Manager. That's just the one I pay for it yearly. I started using it years ago. I know how it works. There's several. There's my Fitness Pal, Chronometer, whatever you choose. I don't need a lot of bells and whistles because I just do a rough thing. I just want to make sure like I'm eating enough or I'm not going hog wild. And I do want to make sure my percentages are kind of in line. I don't eat a lot of carbohydrates. I eat more in the summer because I have some seasonal vegetables and seasonal fruit. But I do notice, like the other day, I ate kind of a lot of vegetables, and my arthritis acts up. I don't have any signs of arthritis if I stay away from starches and most carbohydrates. But I can have fruit and vegetables. I just choose not to. It doesn't make me feel my best, and so I also get very acclimated to sweet tastes. I have to stay away from sweet tastes. I have like sugar addiction. I'll go hog wild. So I just stay away from it, and it's better for me. I don't feel like I'm restricting. But when you look at the percentages of the macronutrients, it can be anything. And so a lot of people say, oh, I'm doing my macros. And I'm like, oh, okay, what are you doing? And they're like, well, I'm counting my macros. So you want to have an idea. Depending on your goals. So like, let's say for ketogenic exactly. And I'm just going through a list here on my phone. So true keto is, 5% carbohydrates, 25% protein, 70% fat. So that's fat. True keto, that's nutritional keto and medicinal keto. That is, that's hard to do, right? You end up like drinking cream and eating butter. It's very hard to do long term. It is very beneficial for people, some for various things. Then there's like, you can do low carb, high fat. That's 12% carbohydrates, 25% protein, 63% fat. There's high protein keto, 5% carbohydrate, 35% protein, 60% fat. So you could do any mix of that. Bodybuilding is different goals, right? The zone diet is 40% carbohydrates, 30% protein, 30% fat. You can do an even split, 33, 33, 33. There's all these different things. And if you're like a bodybuilder, they tend to have a higher carbohydrate and a lower fat. Regardless, here's what I want you to do. You want to get your protein in. I think a round number for every adult woman is somewhere around 120 grams. Okay. You give or take. That doesn't have to be a hard number. But I think if you're just wanting to look for round numbers, approximations, because you don't want to start going crazy with tracking and food if you have a history of disordered eating, but 120 grams of protein, I think, is great for everybody. You could go down to 110, you can go up to 130. I have high protein needs. I sit at around 150 to 175. And then the rest of mine is fat. So I do high fat. My fat is around 60 to 70% of my diet. And I am not tied to that. You guys, I don't ever stay in one thing. Like, again, I'm going to have seasonal fruits and vegetables. That's carbohydrates. I'm going to factor that in. I'm going to lower my fat. One thing you need to know, protein is for muscle building. It's for muscle growth, muscle repair. You get your energy from carbohydrates or fat. That's the two levers you get to move if you are looking for aesthetic goals, or you want to lose some weight, or you're looking for bodybuilding, something like that. Women should not go below 35% of their diet being fat. To me, that feels very low fat. That is not. That's like a standard. 30% you'll lose weight, but you'll be hungry. We only keep 2,000 calories worth of glucose in our system. After that, it gets stored as fat. So once you burn through that, you need more. And so, it kind of, you'll just be hungry. You have to eat more. And I swear the eat 6 meals a day came from traditional bodybuilding, which is very, very low fat. I think coming out of the 80s, that's almost all the nutritional information we had was from bodybuilders. And that's when people started eating 6 mini meals a day, because that they needed that, because you're hungry if you're eating super low fat. Super low fat is not good. It's not good for our hormones. And as I've said before, I think that's how everything's getting so fucked up with perimenopause and menopause. Is women, if you are Gen X, if you are millennial, you were raised in the 80s and 90s full of low fat bullshit. Okay. And it's all a lie. And so those are rough numbers. So as long as you don't dip below 35, definitely don't go below 30% fat. Your hormones should stay okay. Thyroid problems are usually caused by undereating. Women are famous undereaters. Again, thinking that they just need 1,200, 13, 1,500 calories. Like, that's going to tank your thyroid, guys. It just will. And moms are famous like overeaters because we eat our kids scraps. We don't like count everything, right? Because we're tasting, we're picking up what the kids didn't eat. And so that's a problem too. So be aware, because I don't want you eating your kids' crumbs. I don't want you eating the crusts off the sandwich. You can have a sandwich with no crusts. just for like self-care. Don't just eat crumbs. Don't eat the burnt part. I mean, I like burnt food, but it's dead food. Don't eat yucky things. Like, eat good things. Eat things that you like. You deserve that. So that's how much fat I eat. And again, I'm not tied to it. It's a very fluid thing. But again, that's why I like to track, and I track very rough numbers, making sure I'm hitting my protein goals, making sure I'm hitting my fat goals. But fat's delicious. It's easy to overeat fat too. So I get at like 60 to 70% fat just by eating fatty meat. I eat ground beef. I just made short ribs for breakfast. And that brings me to my fat count with very little extra. But if you're trying to live on chicken breasts and ground chicken and just lean cuts of protein, I don't advise that. I really don't. That was the bullshit we were sold. And that is a lot of online chatter when you see fitness accounts, lean protein, all this stuff. Yeah, but it's not good for hormones. We know that. So yeah, that's it. don't go below 30, stick around 35 if you have a set of goals, and feel free to bounce between 40 and 50%. But again, you're going to have to lower your carbohydrates if that's the case. If you're going up to 50% fat, you are going to lower your carbohydrates, because if you start eating the same amount of carbohydrates and upping your fat, that is where you will feel sluggish, you will feel tired, and you definitely will hang on to adipose tissue. All right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you. Rock on.